Psalms chapter 84 and verse 10. For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. So one day in the kingdom of heaven is better than 1,000 of your best days on this side, man. Let me repeat that again. One single day in the kingdom of heaven is better than 1,000 of your best days on this side, man. Okay? Where things were better for you. Moments that you can reminisce on and say, yeah, that was a good day. The kingdom of heaven blows it out the park, man. It blows it out the water. Just one day. Not to mention, the Heavenly Father, He's going to stretch out the time. He's going to expand the time so you can enjoy your immortality. You can enjoy your life. And the Lord said in Wisdom of Solomon, He created the Israelite man to be an image of his own eternity, man. We're going to be a likeness of his own eternity, man. We're going to be many most highs, man. We're going to be many most highs. Okay? God's on earth under YAHAWASHI.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
And also what's going to make us gods? These laws, statutes, commandments, and us judging by the laws, statutes, commandments, but also these laws being in our inward parts, making us those perfect judges. Not to mention, we experience these different reincarnations in this wicked flesh, so we know how to judge the flesh. We know how to judge this body because we've been in this body many times. Okay? But once again, the kingdom of heaven is going to be patterned after the mind of YAHAWASHI, man. A righteous paradigm.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahawah by Hashem, Yahawashi by Hashem, HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing His word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahawah by Hashem, Yahawashi, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahawah by Hashem, Yahawashi. All right, with the brothers in GMS Mississippi camp, and coming with a lesson this morning. All right, and through the spirit and power of Yahawah by Hashem, Yahawashi, we're going to go into the series of the book of Philippians. All right, there's 4 chapters in that book. All right, and we plan to go through all 4 of them. All right, because the Apostle Paul, had a special bond. All right, with the church of Philippi. Okay, which when you go into the history, Philippi was named after the father of Alexander the Greek, Philip. All right, because it's Philippi is a city in Macedonia, which that's where, the kingdom, the Alexander, would rule to take down the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, but it was founded, you go into the history of Philip. All right, the Macedonian. Okay, he was the first one to pretty much establish, a league of nations, okay, between those Greek city-states, okay? But just going into it, let's get this real quick, just to give a backdrop on the book of Philippians and also the relationship that the Apostle Paul had, with the church of Philippi. All right, so I just asked ChatGPT the relationship between Apostle Paul and the church of Philippi. Now it says the relationship between Apostle Paul and the church in Philippi was one of deep affection, mutual respect, and partnership in the gospel. Okay, so you go into a few points. It says founding of the church in Philippi. It said Paul established the church during in Philippi during his second missionary journey around AD 49 and AD 51, as recorded in Acts 16. It was the first Christian church, all right, in Europe, located in the Roman colony in Macedonia. All right. It says Lydia. He said key early converted Lydia, a wealthy merchant. All right. And the first recorded European convert, a demon possessed slave girl who was delivered by Paul, the Philippian jailer. So when him and Silas was in prison, and the Lord had caused an earthquake to open up the cells, and Apostle Paul or none of the people that was in prison, they didn't leave. Okay, because the jailer, when he seen those cells open, he was going to get ready to kill himself, because back then, you was a jailer in the prisons, and the prisoner, all right, or prisoners got loose, you was put to death. Okay, so before he was finna ready to kill himself, the Apostle Paul let him know, like, look, we all here, because Apostle Paul knew the consequences, because Apostle Paul was what? A Roman citizen. So he knew Roman law, okay? And he used that opportunity to get a convert, which is the Philippian jailer. You read about that in the book of Acts, then in that account with him and Silas. And it says, Paul held the Philippians in high esteem, often referring to them with warm language. All right. It says, for example, it says, I thank my power every time I remember you. Okay. It says he called them his joy and crown. All right. Philippians 4:1, showing how much he cherished their faith and commitment. All right. The mutual support and partnership. It said the Philippian church financially supported Paul's ministry multiple times when other churches did not. They sent Epaphroditus to deliver gifts and care for Paul during his imprisonment in Rome. Paul commended their generosity and faithfulness, calling them partners in the gospel. All right. And it says Paul's letter to the Philippians said the epistle of Philippians, written in AD 61, was likely composed while Paul was under house arrest in Rome. It is often called the epistle of joy, despite Paul's imprisonment, because of its tone of gratitude, encouragement, and joy. It's a very encouraging book. And Paul, even though he was in prison, he had joy, in the growth of the churches, man, especially of the church of Philippi. It says themes included joy and contentment in Hamasiyah, humility and unity, pressing on toward the goal. It says a relationship of spiritual maturity. It said that the Philippian church appears to have been spiritually mature, faces some challenges like disunity or persecution, but generally faithful. Paul encouraged them to stand firm, rejoice always, and be the light of the world. Summary said Paul's relationship with the Philippians was arguably one of the closest and most encouraging among his churches. It was marked by deep personal affection, mutual support, especially financially and emotionally, shared commitment to the gospel. It serves as a model of what reciprocal relationship between a spiritual leader and a congregation can look like. So Apostle Paul and the church of Philippi, and they was real close, in YAHAWASHI, and they was really hands-on in helping the Apostle Paul, in his ministry. Okay, so we're going to go to Philippians, the first chapter. Okay, and we'll go from there. Let's get this. I'll get that in there too. You got it. You can scroll.
Guys, Philippians 1:1. It says this letter is from Paul and Timothy, slaves of Hamashiach YAHAWASHI.
Yeah, it's first off, you call what? Slaves. Mm-hmm. You see, we're slaves of YAHAWASHI.
Prisoners of YAHAWASHI.
You see, we was taught in the system to be what, slaves to, Esau's system, which, we are in captivity. So there's certain, obligations that we have to fulfill. Okay. But as we grow and mature in this faith, man, we become more and more slaves for YAHAWASHI, man. You see, this is what we do now. Okay. You got it, bro.
Mm-hmm. I'm get this real quick. It's a quick Google search, going into that being slaves to the Lord or being slaves to a slave of Mashiach. It says in a religious context, meaning choosing the will. It says choosing to willingly submit one's will and life to the Most High's service and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So being slaves to Hamashiach, Yahushua, is just showing that we're submitting to that will and that guidance and everything that goes with following Yahushua. It says, I am writing to all of the Most High's holy people in Philippi who belong to Hamashiach Yahushua, including elders and deacons. For the Most High, our Father, and the Lord, Yahushua Hamashiach, give you grace and peace. Paul thanks, Paul, verse 3, every time I think of you, I give thanks to my power. And that's what the brother was reading, going into, we was reading the Chat GPT. Every time Paul thought, because of their close relationship, every time Paul thought about, the church of in Philippi, he would give thanks. You always think of a person, brother, anything, that's always there for you or anything like that. You always thank the Lord for that person.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul is thanking YAHAWASHI for, the church of Philippi.
Yeah, he gave them joy,
Mm-hmm.
to think about their church,
Mm-hmm.
their sincerity, their support, their commitment, their maturity. The gospel was really sinking in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always the Apostle Paul's reward, was that the church was learning, the church was growing and understanding. That's the reward. That's our reward, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're not here to increase financially and be popular and have this clout and to be looked at and praised as these deep Hebrew gurus or the Torah or none of that. No, our reward is the true growth of the church.
Mm-hmm.
To see brothers getting it, man. To see you few sisters that sincerely believe, to see you getting it, to see you growing, man. You got it, bro.
Good. It says, whenever I pray, I make my request for all of you with joy. So whenever Apostle Paul is praying, his request to Yahweh Shema Shai is for all of them to feel that joy, to feel that same what were we going into? That same fulfillment, being able to be fulfilled in Yahweh Shema Shai. Verse 5, it says, oh yeah, somewhere.
You got it.
Verse 5, it says, you have been my partners in spreading the good news about Hamashiach from the time you first heard it until now. And that's one that really kind of pops out to you because, from the moment that, brothers first came into this truth, we have been used as a tool for Yahweh Shema Shai, we continue to be that way. From the moment you hear this truth, it sets a spark in you, Verse 6 is,
and get that real quick in 2 Corinthians 3 verses 2. Starting verse 2.
2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 2. It says the only letter of recommendation we need is you yourselves.
You yourselves.
You yourselves. Your lives are a letter written in our hearts. Everyone can read it and recognize our good work among you.
Yeah, so the Apostle Paul said, ye, okay, you are our letters of recommendation. Your conduct, ye yourselves. Mm-hmm. Your lives are a letter written in our hearts, our minds. Mm-hmm. So the way that, the church would behave, was I say a joy to the Apostle Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that was his reward. You see, him and all the apostles, man. You know, their reward was to see the church grow in YAHAWASHI, to mature in YAHAWASHI. Read the rest of it.
Come, if I may add too, it's like when you plant a seed, and you sit back and you watch that plant, it grow and it grow, and now it done got to a point where you start to look back. I remember when I was first putting it in the ground, and I remember when I was getting it all nice and cutting the weeds and watering and everything like that, and now you have you're able to reap the benefits of the work, so yeah, I'm kind of putting that. Kind of looking like, that's how Apostle Paul was feeling. He was able, like, man, like, I remember, like when we first started it out, and look at us now.
And he often used, the analogy of husbandry work, with the church, why I say, he planted, Apollo's water, but the Most High gives the increase, Go ahead.
Verse 3, it says, clearly, you are a letter from the Mashiach showing the result of our ministry among you.
Yeah, you Apostle Paul, like, you're a reflection of our teaching. You're a reflection of our labor and what we've been doing in YAHAWASHI. Okay, go ahead.
It says this letter is not written with pen and ink, but with the spirit of the living power. It is carved not on tables and stones, but on human hearts.
Yeah, but on human hearts, the mind. So it's not a letter written, with pen and ink. It's a letter that shows, all right, with a proof. All right, the receipt is the conduct of the church. It's the receipt of the labor, that the apostles were putting in, starting with the head Apostle Peter, and Apostle Paul, his ministry to the Israelite foreigners. Okay, but you can go back.
Yeah, verse 6.
Read 5
again. It says, for you have been my partners in spreading the good news spreading the good news about Hamashiach from the time you first heard it until now.
Yeah, so Apostle Paul called them his partners, showing you the respect that he had, for the church of Philippi. And it said that what Philippi was a mature church. Okay, and I said they was hands on. You got it, bro.
Verse 6. It says, I am certain that the Most High who begun the work within you will
began the good work.
Who began the good work within you will continue his work until it is finally finished on the day when Mashiach YAHAWASHI returns.
Yeah, so we went into this the other day. We go to this often, man. We're all a work in progress. YAHAWASHI, when he called us into the truth, he began a work in us, man. And it's constantly breaking us down and building us up. Breaking us down and building us up, man. Going through these different seasons, going through these changes, sacrifices that have to be made. All these things of the Lord, all right, performing a good work in us, man, until it's perfected at the return of YAHAWASHI, and we'll change, man. You got it, bro.
Verse 7, it says, it is right that I should feel as I do about all of you, for you have a special place in my heart. You share with me a special favor of the Most High, but it's like both in my imprisonment and in defending and confirming the truth of the good news.
You got it.
Verse 8, it said, the Most High knows how much I love you and long for you with tender compassion of Hamashiach YAHAWASHI. Verse 9, it says, I pray that your love will overflow more and more, that you will keep on growing in knowledge and understanding.
Yeah, and see, they're going back to his joy, that the churches continue to grow in knowledge and understanding. Because the scriptures say what? Get that real quick, Isaiah 33:6. Because there's no point, if you're just sitting here praising us like we're something great, and you just sending us all your money, but you're not growing. All right, get in the KJV.
We worship the Creator and not creation.
Verse 6. But yeah, you was just here, sending us money, praising us, and you're not growing in any understanding, then they defeat the whole purpose, man. That's really going backwards. Okay, because we come into a time to where you're going to have to know what you believe, because you're going to be, everybody's going to have to go, everybody's Jacob trouble going to be customized, man. Everybody persecution going to be customized, man. You don't know how the Lord going to isolate, the body. It's going to be a lot of, things that we're going to have to overcome. Okay. So, in the times that we're coming into, everybody's going to have to be fully persuaded. The Lord's going to try all of us to see if each individual of the body is fully persuaded, man. You got it, bro.
Isaiah 33:6, it says, "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, is his treasure."
Yeah, so wisdom and knowledge, that's going to be the stabilizer of these times, because people are finna bug out, man. The people that you look at and think got it together the most, they finna bug out, man. You see, everyone that's not rooted in YAHAWASHI, we finna see these people lose it, okay, as these times get harder and harder, man. Okay? So what's going to be our stabilizer is wisdom and knowledge and understanding, okay, in YAHAWASHI, man. You got it, bro. You go back to Philippians.
Verse 9 again, it says, "I pray that your love will overflow more and more, and that you will keep on growing in knowledge and understanding. For I want you to understand what really matters, so that you may live pure and blameless lives until the day of Mashiach's return."
And say understand what really matters, man. And that's a lot of Israelites that know that they're Israelites, they don't understand what really matters, man. Okay, they caught up in the community. You see, they caught up in trying to present the world this family friendly presentation of the truth. Okay, they don't understand what really matters. Fringes on everything, which fringes ain't wicked, but goddamn, Jake make them an idol. So Jake really Jake still talking about being perfect in the law. Like, nigga, you're 2,500 years old. That's been done away with, trying to be perfect in the law, man. All right, we failed horribly. Okay, so Jake, it's a lot about people that know that they're Israelites, but they really don't understand what really matters, man, which is YAHAWASHI. Okay, and the build up to his second coming, and us being on point. All right, for that time. Go ahead.
It says, "You may always be filled with the fruit of your salvation, the righteous character." So, like, you may always be filled with the fruit of your salvation, the righteous character produced in your life by YAHAWASHI HaMashiach. For this will bring much glory and praise to the Most High.
Yeah, going back to
the Most High.
The character, which is what like conduct, man. And it's daily growth in it, man. The Lord is constantly hammering away at us, man. That's why He put us in these intense situations, to make us malleable, okay, to where He can mold us and shape us, into a righteous character, a righteous mold of YAHAWASHI. Go ahead.
Verse 12. It says, "And I want you to know, my dear brothers and sisters, that everything that has happened to me here has helped spread the good news."
The scriptures say, well, you can do nothing against the truth before it. So even in this situation where Apostle Paul, was in bonds, under the Roman, authority, all right, YAHAWASHI, is still being magnified, because the Lord can use so many situations to magnify, YAHAWASHI. Okay. Even with, like, when the skirmishes break out with the small hats and, Iran. Okay. Well, there's always a lot of talk about them not being the people. And if there's talk about them not being the people, well, who are? Okay. So the Lord uses all these different circumstances to shed light to the truth, the MOTB. You know, as we did the video yesterday, man. You had the Edomite, okay, hey, going into it, man. Hey, this is the beast system. This he called it out. He said, this is the mark of the beast. You know, so everything that we see happen in prophecy is just magnifying YAHAWASHI, because if you are trying to go into the Bible to explain what's happening, well, guess what? You're coming to YAHAWASHI. He comes in the volume of the book. You know, you got it, bro.
It says, for everyone here, including the whole palace guard knows that I am in chains because of Hamashiach.
Yeah, the whole palace guard. You know, they know the Apostle Paul is in bondage because, okay, of YAHAWASHI. Go ahead.
It says, because of my imprisonment, most of the believers here have gained confidence and boldly speak the Most High's message without fear.
Yeah, and then this emboldened, you know, the believers, okay, to see Apostle Paul go through that and stand firm for YAHAWASHI. This emboldened, you know, believers, you know, to even speak more, man. Okay. So the Lord is always working a mighty work. The Lord comes from so many different angles, man. You know, for the sake of this gospel going forth. Go ahead.
And it shows how the Lord is all knowing, because he got this situation where Paul, you know, is going through this imprisonment, but also is increasing the faith and all the believers that are witnessing these things as well. You know, verse 15. It's true that some are preaching out of jealousy and rivalry, but others preach about Hamashiach with pure motives.
With pure motives. You know, so you have, you know, different motivations to teach. You know, you have different motivations to speak. All right. Some people are motivated to turn the camera on, you know, to be cute, just because it's a trend, it's something to do. Okay, to look important. All right, and you have those that are motivated by sincerity, man. You know, for the growth of the church, man, for the love in YAHAWASHI, man, to spread this good news, man. Excited about the righteous kingdom to come. So you have different motives of people teaching, and see, you as believers, you got, you know, you as the church, the listeners, okay, and you gotta discern these things, man. Like the Church of Berea, okay. They was well studied. They was looking into things, man. They wasn't just being simpletons listening to a nigga just because he got these gimmicks and he can cut Christians, you know. Nah, man, you really got to judge men's character, man, according to YAHAWASHI. But you got to know YAHAWASHI by what? Getting familiar with this book, man. Okay? Because these men that ain't right, the Lord has so many red flags on these niggas, man. So many red flags on these niggas that ain't right, man. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 16, it says, they preach because they love me, for they know I have been appointed to defend the good news.
Yep, go ahead.
Verse 17, those others who do not have pure motives as they teach about Hamashiach, they preach with selfish ambition, not sincerely, intending to make my chains more painful to me.
So you have those that, you know, as they're going to go into, like they teach, you know, for strife, you know, and in vain glory, which is selfish ambition. Not sincerely. We've seen in the latest character, Alizar, he embodies, you know, selfish ambition, vain glory.
Filthy lucre.
You know, vain, teaching in vanity for contention. You know, they just want to teach something contrary to start an argument so people can look at them, you know, for attention's sake. You know, they'll just say anything for the sake of attention. You know, God's Genesis, you know, they latest madness. You know, the 2/3 going to be beamed up in the chariots and then, you know, dropped off in Basra and some random river of fire, man, tripping. And them niggas don't believe that shit, man. Them niggas doing that, all right, for the sake of intention, because they know brothers going to respond and it's going to put them at the center of an argument, and they get to have attention and they get to parade themselves at these deep, you know, they just got these, you know, mysterious breakdowns that no one else on earth has. You know, you got to get it exclusively from them. They coming from that angle, man. Okay? Just to be a thorn, you know, to the true gospel. Okay? But at the end of the day, when you keep reading, go ahead.
Verse 18. But that doesn't matter whether their motives are false or genuine. The message about Hamashiach is being preached either way. So I rejoice and I will continue to rejoice.
Yeah, so YAHAWASHI is going forth. So the only thing you can do is magnify the truth. Because even when you teach false doctrine, it magnifies the truth. You know? They're just like when you let's say you get, let's say you're working with a drill, and you get a drill that's not as strong, and you work with it. Well, what does it do? It gives more glory to that drill that's good.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, damn, this drill is, So when you got these false doctrines, these false teachers, what it does is magnifies the true teaching. It gives more validity to the true teaching, man. And the true believers, all right, they're going to be more edified by the true teachers, man. When false prophets, rear their heads, man. So either way, YAHAWASHI is being teached and the elect is being edified, man. You got it, bro.
Come.
You found some?
Come. No. Verse 19, it says, for I know that as you pray for me and the spirit of YAHAWASHI HaMashiach helps me, that this will lead to my deliverance.
Oh, yeah.
Verse 20, for I fully expect and hope that I will never be ashamed, but that I will continue to be bold for Hamashiach, as I have been in the past, and I trust that my life will bring honor to Hamashiach, whether I live or die.
Yeah, so Apostle Paul, his expectation, all right, is all about YAHAWASHI. All right, his life is not even a fact anymore. Mm-hmm. As in the book of Acts, he said he's willing to be in bonds and die for YAHAWASHI. His mind was made up. Okay, go ahead.
God, it says, for me living means living for Hamashiach, and dying is even better.
Yeah, living for Hamashiach. This is our life, and we say this time and time again. This is our life, man. This is what we live for. Okay? When we are out doing what we got to do in the world, we always working our way back to get back here, man. Mm-hmm. This is the purpose of everything, man. That's why, in our day-to-day, you got to be efficient so you can get back to this, man. And see, the challenge about this ministry, the balance of this ministry, man, is learning how to be efficient to free up time for this. Mm-hmm. Okay? This is why we're here. You see? Because if YAHAWASHI must increase and we must decrease, well, we have to learn to be efficient so we can decrease in the shit that don't matter and increase in the things that do, which is YAHAWASHI. Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead.
God, it says, but if I live, I can do more fruitful work for Hamashiach, so I really don't know which is better.
Mm-hmm. So the Apostle Paul, he like, if I live, I can do more fruitful work. So he really doesn't know which is better because, he went to the spiritual realm, because he died and was brought back. They stoned Apostle Paul to death and he went into his spirit, left his body. That's why he spoke about, the third heaven, which you were talking about the spiritual realm where the Most High, the angels, YAHAWASHI reside. By the fact, let's find that account real quick. Let me see. I think that's in Corinthians.
Corinthians 12 and 2. Maybe.
That's it.
It says I will call to the third heaven.
Yeah, this is read it starting one.
Good. This 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1, and that's you, KJV.
You reading that too?
Good. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. This boasting will do no good, but I must go on. I will reluctantly tell about visions and revelations from the Lord YAHAWASHI HaMashiach.
Go ahead.
I was caught up to the third heaven 14 years ago, where I was in my body,
Yeah,
or whether I was in my body or out of my body, I don't know. Only the Most High knows.
Yeah, his spirit was out of his body, because he had died. Because when you die, what your spirit returns to spiritual realm. He who sent it. Go ahead.
Verse 3, it says, yes, only the Most High knows whether I was in my body or outside of my body, but I do know.
But I do know. Go ahead.
But I do know that I was caught up to paradise and heard things so astonishing that they could not be expressed in words, things no human is allowed to tell.
So Apostle Paul actually went to the spiritual realm and came back. That's why he said, hey, to be with YAHAWASHI is better. But he understood he had an office and a duty, in the church. So he said, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna live for YAHAWASHI, But if I gotta die for this, I ain't tripping either. Apostle Paul was good either way. So he like, look, if I'm gonna live for YAHAWASHI. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be with YAHAWASHI. So he like, I'm kind of stuck between, you go back to Philippians, it's gonna go into it. He kind of stuck between the two, but he understood, he had a duty to the church because it wasn't about him,
He's basically stuck between YAHAWASHI. So either way, he knew,
Right about 22.
Read 22 again. It says, but if I live, I can do more work for Hamashiach.
Do more fruitful work.
Do more fruitful work for Hamashiach. So I really don't know which is better.
Go ahead.
I am torn between two decisions, two desires.
Yep.
I long to go and be with Hamashiach, which is far better for me.
Yep.
But for your sakes, it is better that I continue to live.
Yeah, so Apostle Paul, like, look, it's best for you that I be here.
Mm-hmm.
If you, and if I'm here, I'm gonna be dedicated to you all. Okay.
If I'm not here, I can't feed the sheep.
Yeah. And if he's not here, he's gonna be with YAHAWASHI, which is good. But he got an office, and that's why we live for YAHAWASHI, man. This is our office, man. This is what we do. This is our occupation. Now, everything else is a side thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
God. It says, knowing this, I am convinced that I will remain alive, so I can continue to help all you grow. I continue to help all of you grow and experience the joy of your faith.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And when I come to you again, I will be even more. You will have even more reason to take pride in Hamashiach YAHAWASHI because of what He's doing through me.
Go ahead.
Verse 27. Above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Hamashiach.
Yes, it live as citizens of heaven, So we are already, conducting ourselves as if we're in the kingdom. We are already conducting ourselves amongst one another in order, in discipline and righteousness, as if we're in the kingdom, because the kingdom starts with us, man.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the physical kingdom, we're behaving. Our behavior is imitating that, all right, which is going to be in the kingdom, which is righteousness, honesty, faithfulness to YAHAWASHI, true brotherly love. These things are going to carry over and translate into the kingdom of YAHAWASHI. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. God, it says, then whether I come and see you again or only hear about you, I will know that you are standing together with one spirit and one purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news.
Go ahead.
Don't be intimidated in any way by your enemies. This will be a sign to them that they are going to be destroyed, but that you are going to be saved even by the Most High Himself.
Go ahead.
For you have been given not only the privilege of trusting in Hamashiach, but also the privilege of suffering
so
for
it's
Him.
A privilege to suffer for Him. It's a privilege to trust in Him. And said, don't be intimidated by what? Your enemies, man. All right? Because you're going to have enemies of the cross. you know, and now we to the point to where them niggas don't even matter. Okay, you see, so we're not intimidated, okay, by would you look at 2 Timothy?
Mm-hmm.
I think you was at it. You had to go down some more. That Timothy 2, around about 10.
Okay, right there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we you know, the adversity, you know, the naysayers, the gainsayers, enemies of the cross. You know, we stand boldly and teach this word, man. And I don't know tough guy shit, but we just know who behind us, man. We know who with us, man. YAHAWASHI.
And that confidence.
Yeah, that confidence is in the Lord, man. The LD niggas, man, these people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a nigga that's still voting, okay, hiding Easter egg. What the fuck can he tell us, man? You know, not a goddamn thing, man. The nigga woman, you know, was just through than ever. What the hell do you know? We're not concerned about none of that, man. Even Esau and his military and his technology, man. Hey, it's all according to the will of the Lord, man. And we serve a power that's above all. Okay, and so I said the boldness don't come from us. It comes from understanding who we serve. Okay, and His power, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got it, bro.
God, it says that going into like it's a privilege for us to suffer because we understand what suffering means. When you get this 2 Timothy 2 and 11 and 12, it says it is a faithful saying. For if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yahawashi was dead to this world. So we have to be dead to this world as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Yahawashi is going to be fully alive in the world of the kingdom when he's sitting on that throne. So we should also live with him in those times. And it goes even deeper. It says if we suffer, we shall also reign with him. All right. So if we suffer with Yahawashi, that's why I said it's a privilege for us to suffer with Yahawashi because that's an opportunity for us to reign with Yahawashi. Everybody don't get the opportunity to drink of that cup. Everybody don't get the opportunity to suffer, to suffer alongside Yahawashi. So it's only right in what he's saying that we have the opportunity to suffer with him, so we get the opportunity to reign with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Lord is balanced. It says if we deny him, he shall also deny us. If we believe not, yet he abideth faithfully, he cannot deny himself. All right, so the point was in 12. You know, we are going into having that privilege to suffer with Yahawashi.
Come on, bro.
Yes, what you add to it?
Nah, that's it. We gotta get them last.
Come.
Verse. You started back in 29. 29.
It says, For you have been given not only the privilege of trusting in Hamashiach, but also the privilege of suffering for him. Mm-hmm. Verse 30, we are in this struggle together. You have seen my struggle in the past, and you know that I am still in the midst.
Mm-hmm. So you know, you go ahead and say. I'll just wrap it up.
It says that we are in this struggle together, and that's what we all understand. You know, brothers, like we all going through this together. Your furnace, you know, everything that you go through is tailored for you. But for the most part, again, there's a brother who's been through everything we go through in some form of fashion. So we all in this struggle together. We all fighting the same good fight. We all have the same common goal. You know, we're all partners in this thing. Our righteous are we continue to stay in this faith because that's the only thing that separates us from the rest of this wicked world. It said, you have seen my struggle in the past, and you know that I'm in the midst of it now. We've seen brothers, you know, go through things. We right alongside each other, but we know that we're going to continue to go through it. We're going to continue to be in and out of that furnace, in the midst of all this until the day that Yahawashi returns. Mm-hmm. And we want to continue, the scripture say, fight the good fight. You know, we want to endure until the end. It said, he that endured to the end shall receive a crown of everlasting life.
You know, so yeah, man, this is where we at with it. You know, YAHAWASHI, you know, pray. You know, we pray that your brothers and your sisters are edified, man. You know, So, Lord will, we continue on in the book of Philippians, finish out this chapter, this series, and may you, as well as us, be continue to be edified. So, Lord will, we want to give all praise and glory to
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem,
YAHAWASHI, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being a great example towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing, salutation, hopefully. Shalom.
Shalom.